Hello everyone, my name is Wes Christian, CEO of School Food Handler, and welcome back to Friday Food Fight. We took a little bit of a hiatus, but we are back. After many months off, we are excited to bring you some fresh new content in a new format, and also some brand new guests for you. So we're really excited to be bringing this show back to you. If you don't know, now you know, we are going to be airing this each and every month. That is right, every month. And that is going to air live on our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook pages at School Food Handler and Food Handler Solutions. You can also find this live airing live on our schoolfoodhandler.com website. And if you are a current School Food Handler customer, you will be able to watch this live inside of your training website for your school district, right on the Live Training Center page. Just hover over the Courses tab, go to Live Training Center, and you'll be able to watch this each and every month. If you can't catch the live episode, don't worry. For our School Food Handler customers, we do record these and we will post them right on your All Courses page, and your administrative team may choose to assign this to your course guide page as part of your annual training curriculum. But you will always be able to stay connected whether you are a School Food Handler customer or you are just watching on one of our social pages. But without further ado, I would like to introduce our amazing guest for this week and our future co-host for upcoming episodes, Mr. Matt Upton. And Matt, if you do not know who he is and you haven't seen him around, Matt is quite the influencer in the school nutrition space. And I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Matt before we bring him on to the show today. But my friend Matt enjoys bringing what he calls his best serve to S&Ps, or school nutrition professionals, who are, in his opinion and also my opinion, the best part of school meals. You know, his big why is to help them to discover their special blend of influence, leadership, and ability to conquer their challenges. And today, Matt and I are going to be having a wide-ranging talk about a lot of different things to help you to get to know him a little bit better. But among those topics, we will be discussing how to celebrate your serve, as well as how to deal with the pesky person in your midst. But an interesting thing that you might not know about Matt is that during the COVID-19 pandemic, Matt actually took his 29-foot travel trailer to more than 85 different school districts and over 100 different schools, and helped serve more than 1.5 million meals to students, their siblings, their families. He stood with S&P's school nutrition professionals in the rain, sleet, snow, shine, side by side. But Matt really understands what it is that you do on a daily basis. And that is one of the main reasons why we chose him to be on this show each and every month with us, because he gets it. And he knows what you have gone through. He has lived it. He has walked it. And we could not be more excited to have him be joining us each and every month. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring Matt on the show, and let's do it. Matt Upton, welcome, my friend. It is so good to see you. How are you doing?
Very well, Wes. I had these last couple of days. I got to spend with 4 of my 6 VPs and goofing off my grandchildren. It was just a blast. We had a great time.
So I want to touch on that because, you know, people out there watching this show might not know a lot about you. So when you refer to your VPs, you are referring to your grandchildren. And I think that is so cool. Tell us a little bit more about you as a person, and our listeners out there, a little bit more about Matt Upton and what makes you tick.
Well, my VPs, I call them VPs because they're the vice presidents of my life. And they really tone my mission in life is to give them experiences that help them think better and think bigger than I did when I was a young child. And that's probably because the greatest influences of my life were my grandparents. I didn't get to see them a lot, 2 or 3 times a year if things were going well, yet they were the only people that I could make a long-distance phone call to anytime I wanted. And they taught me a lot of great things. And so a little bit about me is I fell in love with who I used to call LGs. lunch gals and guys, and now I call them SNPs because they're school nutrition professionals.
Yeah.
They earned their professional wings during the pandemic, and they did some remarkable things during the pandemic, and I just lean into them. They inspire me every day. They are the only people on campus, that have potential of seeing every student every day, twice a day, once for breakfast and once for lunch. And so they really have the temperature of students, and I just love them. I love every one of them.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, we call them our superheroes. And I think that, every single person out there working in the school nutrition industry is a superhero for the things that they have been able to endure and overcome through that pandemic period. And really, even prior to that, I mean, the obstacles that school nutrition professionals have to overcome are just unprecedented in so many different ways. But they do it. Every single time a curveball gets thrown at them, they knock it out of the park. And it is just, it's so impressive to watch them grow as an industry and us as a whole. I really do think that they are superheroes in so many different ways. You go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it fascinates me that somebody else in the school system can say we've got something going down, so we can do this today. Yet, if a S&P has a refrigerator go down or an oven go down or something go down, they can't call up the principal and say we're going to cancel a meal today. So they figure out a way. They always figure out a way. They know how to create ways where there is no way. And they always serve the meals every day. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I heard it said once that the school nutrition professionals are hands down the most important people in a school district. And let me preface that because I know there's going to potentially be a teacher out there or a principal that's listening to this. They're important too. But the fact is that a hungry child cannot learn. So without that meal that those school nutrition professionals are putting into the bellies of those children each and every day, the job of the teacher is irrelevant because those kids aren't going to learn what that teacher has to teach them. The principal that's holding things together, it really doesn't matter because if those kids aren't learning or they're not showing up as their best self to receive that information, then what everyone else does in the school district, it goes completely over their head. It goes missed. The job that these folks are doing every single day, putting food in those bellies, is hands down the most important job in a school district. Matt, you refer to yourself, and I've seen this on your website, mattupton.net, that you call yourself the Chief Encouragement Officer or the CEO. Tell us a little bit more about that and how that title came into play for you.
That title came into being because of two things, really. There was a dark time in my life early in my journey, and one day I decided I'm just not going to be that way anymore. And it took me a while to work out of that darkness into what people now think it's just natural for me to be this encourager and be this upbeat person. It took some training. It took some heavy lifting on my part to do that. And then along the way, people used to say, you're just my encourager. I got to call you. And so then somebody called me that, the CEO, as Chief Encouragement Officer. And I just latched onto it. And I'm on a mission to be every school district's CEO, their Chief Encouragement Officer. I want to be every S&P's CEO, their Chief Encouragement Officer, that they know that when they see me, I'm cheering for them. Yeah. I'm hollering for them. I'm batting for them to win home runs.
Yeah, and it's so important what you just said, because we've all had dark times in our lives that we have tried to pull out of, and some people are more successful at that than others. Obviously you have been very successful in taking that time in your life and turning it into a positive. But talk to us a little bit about, what you do to stay at the top of your game, to stay successful, and maybe some tools or some strategies that you used during that period of your life to really propel you to where you are today.
That's a great question. Great question, Wes. when it started, I started looking around to find something good to read. And I've made it a practice to just about every day of my life, I spend time reading books. And I believe they're their stairway to the best room of your life. And they become the stairway. They become the way, and it's always up. It's never down, because it's not simple to sit down and read. It's not simple, especially today. It is not simple. We're so busy. You have to schedule that. And so that every morning, I get up, I have some moments of solitude in silence, and then I read. I either read out of an actual book where I thumb the pages, or I read something on my book list that I have here on my phone. And I read it. I don't listen to it, I read it. Although I do listen to a lot of books. But I read it. It's important to read it because you digest it. You take it inside. I do that. Another thing that I do is I limit my time with what I call pesky people. There are pesky people out there that are prickly, they're thorny, they're difficult to get along with. And the way you recognize a pesky person is this. Number one, they are power drainers. When they walk into the room, you feel the energy in the room change. And they take a lot of energy. They're energy zappers. When they leave the room, we don't feel lifted up. We always feel a little bit down. And the third thing is they systematically shut down good people from speaking up. And then fourth, they always keep the conversation on what's negative, what's wrong, how things ought to be different. And then if people put pressure on them, they will say, oh, I'll do better. Yet fifth, they always yield to their peskiness. They always flip back. And so I limit my time with pesky people. I just do. And thirdly, every night at 6 p.m., there's an alarm that goes off on my phone, and it reminds me, West, to write down something that I did or something that happened today that causes me to be grateful. I have a list of now, I think I checked it this morning, it's 1,132. Wow. And so tonight, I'll write down, I am grateful for West and how that he is out there influencing people to be their best selves. That's what I'm going to write down tonight at 6 p.m.
I love that. I've talked to so many people about, gratitude, and I think it's such a powerful, powerful thing that people just overlook. And, one of the things that I've had people mention to me is that, I can't do a gratitude journal, or I can't write something down every single night. Like, I'll run out of things to write down. But you just mentioned that you've got over 1,000 different things, and we all have that many things, and more than that, because there are so many things in our lives to be grateful for, but we just take them for granted. I mean, even the little things like, the ability to sit here and have a conversation with you, the ability to, breathe air, to drink water, to walk on 2 feet. I mean, the list is endless of things that we can be grateful for, but we tend to look at those as just, we're just entitled to those things. No, those are privileges. We have those, those are things that we should be grateful for, because there are people out there that don't have those things. And, we oftentimes get spoiled, especially in the society that we live in. We have this societal, in my opinion, we have this societal view of, it's just abundance. Let's go on Amazon and buy all this stuff. We need more stuff, but, ultimately what we're getting at is we're making ourselves discontent with the things that we have. And we're always looking towards the next thing, as opposed to looking right in the mirror, or looking at the people that we spend every single day with, the people that we go to work with, and being grateful, genuinely grateful for the time that we get to spend with that individual, or with, that situation, or in that environment. You mentioned something a second ago, Matt, about pesky people. And I think that every single one of us knows a pesky person. And maybe we live with one, maybe we work with one on a daily basis. But I got a question for you. If you are in a working environment, you're in a school and you are going in there every single day, and you happen to have one of these pesky people in your cafeteria that you have to see every day. You can't limit your time with them. You have to do the job. What are some tips that you have for how to deal with that person and maybe be that encouragement that helps them to maybe not change their ways? Because I'm not trying to change people, we can't try and change everyone out there, but maybe make our lives a little bit better with being able to go into that environment day in, day out and deal with that type of a situation.
Oh my! Again, that's a great question. That's a great question, and I don't think it comes easy. I don't think it comes simple. I don't think it's a simple deal. Okay. Number one, I believe you have to reframe that event, that condition, that circumstance that the pesky person has. Meaning that rather than saying all the time, "Oh no, here comes Matt. He's my pesky person," I think we have to look at it and say, what about this situation can I learn? Either about being a better individual, being a more graceful person, being somebody, and just seeing the opposite of the pesky person and being that. Okay. Number two is, especially in school restaurants, they work 3.75 hours sometimes, right? And so look up at the clock once in a while. And rather than saying, "Oh my goodness, Matt's here, it's going to be terrible," sometimes what I got to do is look up at the clock and say, he's only going to be here for 3 more hours and he's going to leave. He's only going to be here. That's it. And then another thing is, as I said earlier, we don't limit your time with them. Though you're working next to them wrapping chicken sandwiches, you don't have to be their best friend.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you just have to get along to go along. You don't have to be best friends. Most people are not going to do what you and I do, West. We've met for lunch, and we're going to meet for many more lunches. And we've got a lot of those ahead of us. We're going to see each other in other states at times. And that's not going to happen with everybody. And that's okay. We don't have to be best friends, yet we do have to get along to go along. And if they don't want to, just realize they're porcupines and they're hard to hug.
Yeah.
Okay? They're hard to hug, and that's okay. That's where the framing comes in. Because I think often the reason a pesky person has so much more power is we think we're going to change them because we have a good attitude. And it's not up to us to change anybody. I mean, come on. We have a hard enough time changing ourselves.
Yeah.
How can we change somebody else? I think the effort needs to be in just work on me and realizing that I can be different than that. And just sometimes whatever is causing what is their peskiness, just being the opposite of that. Just being the opposite of that. Allowing the peskiness to flip me to be different, because like a pesky person keeps the conversation on what's dark, what's heavy, what's wrong. So I take that now every time I meet a pesky person. While they're talking, I'm thinking about how I'm going to talk about something that's light, something that's encouraging, something that's grateful. They encourage me without even knowing it to be that other person. And those are the 3 things that I'd recommend.
I love that. I want to go back to something you mentioned a couple of minutes ago about, you talked about, the importance of reading, the importance of, continuing to gain more knowledge. What are some recommendations that you have book-wise? Maybe something that you're currently reading, maybe something you just finished reading that it really motivated you, that gave you some just real nuggets of gold that you think would be beneficial for everyone to read?
I think everybody ought to read Well Done by, oh goodness, I just lost his name. It's called W-H-A-L-E Done. Everybody should read that. And what they do is they tell the story about how they used to train killer whales at SeaWorld to jump out of the water.
Oh, wow.
And it's incredible. It's amazing. Simple little read. It's about 3/4 of an inch. It's about a half an inch thick, and you could read it in an evening. Currently, I'm reading a book by John Gordon, Jon Gordon, and it's Keep Rowing the Boat, and great read. It's about how that when we all row together, things get done. We make a movement. Those are some great books. Great books. And I think we just need to have a book by our nightstand and read along in it. And then one of the things I do, tomorrow I will do this. I will pass on the book I'm currently reading, which is Row Your Boat. And in the leaflet of it, I write down when I bought it, when I finish reading it, and then I give it away. Because often what happens is books die on our shelves.
Yeah.
And so I'll write, given to somebody tomorrow in my session will get that book, and it'll have their name on it on the date I gave it to them. And then my hope is that they will read it and then pass it on to somebody as well.
I love that you do that. And you've told me that in the past about passing on that information and that knowledge that you've learned, from the actual physical book after you get done reading it. I think that's such a cool practice that we could all apply. Because, I mean, I've read so many different books out there, but just like you said, I read it, I put it on a shelf, and it's still sitting on that shelf. They're all still sitting there. But once you read it, pass it on. Especially, I mean, you just named off some great books that I'm definitely going to go and look up and read, because those are new for me, and I'm excited to take a look at them. But we've all at some point in time read something or come across some inspirational, motivational material that really benefited us. But it's almost like this selfish act that we all just read it and then we tuck it away and we hide it from the rest of the world instead of sharing it with everyone.
Yes, especially people who are influencers.
Yeah.
Because we read that book and then we take things from that book, and we really don't want anybody else to read it because we don't want them to know that we got it, the idea from them. Yeah. But I pass it on, and what I do is I put a piece of paper in there, and as I get something, I write it down on that piece of paper, and I keep that paper. Used to be I would write it all in the book and then think I'd go back, but that book dies. It can't go any further. So that's why I do that. Why I do that.
I love it. I think we should all do that. I'm going to start that practice personally, but I think that's definitely something that we could all implement. Matt, tell me a little bit. I know that you are currently obsessed with your VIPs at home, but tell us all something else that you are just absolutely obsessed with right now, or that you just can't get enough of. Maybe it's an activity you're doing, maybe it's a health routine that you're really into, a show that you're really into, but give us a little insight into Matt's world of obsession.
Oh boy, that's great. I'm really enjoying watching the Yellowstone series on TV.
It's a great one. It's a really good show.
It's a secret obsession, and the actors in there are amazing. The writing is incredible. I really enjoy that. And I just started watching Picard, the final season of Jean-Luc Picard. I'm a Star Trek fan and enjoy that very much. And what I really enjoy doing is going out into my garage. One day we'll talk while I'm in my garage, and I'll show it to you. I have a Class A garage, and I enjoy doing tinkering out there, making things out of wood and crafting. I make charcuterie boards. I build them with resins and wood mixed together with rocks in there. I pour candles. I build candles. It's very therapeutic for me. It's very therapeutic for me because you need to do something. I think there's just a principle, Wes, that we're not supposed to work all the time.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to work all the time. We're supposed to rest. And so what I do is I attempt every 6 hours, I take an hour and just do it something for me.
Mm-hmm.
Every 6 days, I check out and I do something for me. And I think that keeps me focused. It gives me new energy. Farmers learned this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Farmers rotate their land, and they'll leave 1 acre or a section of their land lay dormant, lay fallow for a whole year. Every 6 years, they'll let it go because they know it needs to be re-neutralized. It needs to have the nutrients and the sun back in it. We don't do that. We don't do that near enough. And I just had a conversation with a farmer the other day about how they do that in segments of their farm. And it's pretty amazing. We need to do those things.
Well, it's a form of meditation. It's
Yes.
a different way for us to quiet our minds and quiet the world around us, and deal with the inside. What's internal,
Right.
what's going on in our head, what's going on in our body, and being more aware and more present in those different emotions and sensations that we all go through and experience, but being able to process those. I mean, our world moves so quickly these days, and there's everything from technology advancements to, just everything is just faster, and it's so hard, so much input. And, when you rewind 100 years ago, we didn't have any of that input.
Right.
The creatures that we are, when you look at just the structure, we were not, the entire process, the entire evolutionary process, we have not been built to deal with the input that we currently have in our society today. Not that it's a bad thing, but I think it is exactly what you said. It's important for us to take that time to just be quiet, to do something for us, to reset and balance ourselves.
Yes. We've got to do this self-care.
Yeah.
We've got to take care of ourselves. Earlier today, I got on an airplane, and one of the first things they do is go over what happens if the cabin depressurizes. Mm-hmm. And they say to you, this mask will fall, and make sure, regardless of who's sitting next to you, regardless of their personal struggle, make sure you put the mask on yourself first, and then help other people. Yet we forget that, especially in school restaurants, because the majority of people who work in school restaurants do not know how to say no in a healthy way. They say yes to everything. And so as soon as they leave the school restaurant, they're rushing to soccer practice, or they're rushing to get supper ready for their family. They never take time for themselves. And they need to take some time to breathe. All of us need to do that. All of us need to do that.
Yep. Absolutely. You mentioned the mask and the airplane. I don't know what to think about this, but the last airplane that I was on, the stewardess walked by and they told my wife to make sure she put her mask on first before helping me put my mask on. And I don't know what that's all about, but
they must have known something.
They must have known something. Well, Matt, in kind of closing here, I want to ask you one final question, and this is just a fun question for you. But I know that you speak all over the country to school nutrition groups, and I'd love for you at the end of this to tell everyone where they can get a little bit more information from you, where they can contact you to come speak to their organization. But the last question I got for you, Matt, and this is again just a fun question, but if you could put a message, a statement on a billboard for everyone to see on their daily commute each and every day, what words of motivation, what inspiration would you provide to everyone on that billboard?
That's a great question. I think I would put, forgiveness releases you, not them.
That's powerful.
Because so often we think, I can't forgive somebody.
Yeah.
Because they did this. I can't give them a pardon. The truth is, Wes, we don't have the authority to pardon anybody.
Yeah.
And as long as we are bitter, angry, and resentful, which I say that we go to the bar of bitterness, anger, and resentment. We get intoxicated with unforgiveness. Mm. And we become the judge, the jury, and the jailer. The whole time thinking that we're putting the person or the situation that offended us under lock and key, never realizing that it's us that's in the cage.
Yeah.
And forgiveness is less about the ones that offended us or the situation and more about us. We need to walk free of all that and get sober from the intoxication that we have from bitterness, anger, and resentment. And when we do that, we can raise the bar in our lives because we get to get a glimpse of our own brilliance, our own abilities, and take responsibility for our life instead of letting the situation or the person be in charge of us because we're bitter at them, we're angry at them, we're resentful at them. Because as long as we have to make sure they're still in the prison, they're still in the jail. And we can't do that because it's really us. So let ourselves go. Let it go.
God, that's some good stuff. Say. I got nothing to add to that, Matt. That is some powerful stuff. I am going to let I'm going to go digest that one for the rest of the afternoon and let everyone else do the same. Hey, man, it has been such a pleasure to chat with you. I know you got a busy schedule. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to doing this with you a little bit more often here in the coming days. For everyone out there watching, Matt Upton here with us today. You're going to get a lot more of him in the future. Can't wait to, kind of have our reboot here of our Friday food fights that we are going to be airing monthly. So please make sure you subscribe to our channel. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and you can see more of Matt and me every single month. And we look forward to talking with you again very soon. Again, Matt, thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk again soon, my friend.
Thank you.